Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's City Council meeting. We are going to start off with public comment. Just a reminder that we have rules of decorum. Please be kind. You will each have 2 minutes to speak, and we are going to start with Drew Kirschner.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you guys for allowing me time to speak. It's Drew Kirschner, 2208 Van Dyke Avenue. I've got two things, so I'll be quick. Since I posted this, my speaking tonight, I was contacted by both different parts of the staff with the town or with the city. So the first issue is with a crosswalk on Van Dyke or on Oberlin Road between Roberts and Van Dyke. It's just a very unsafe placement. It is now on the Oberlin Road improvement plan, but it doesn't move it. It shortens it slightly. But from the west side of the road crossing east, you have to stand on a small little island, which then you have to encounter traffic coming from 4 directions. Very simply moving it a few feet over to the intersection at Roberts and Oberlin would alleviate numerous life safety issues for all of us in the community and would be greatly appreciated. I've been emailing with Brandy Crawford on that, so she knows my full concerns. The main reason for me speaking tonight is 815 Oberlin Road, the Advanced Care Building, and their parking. They have dramatically impacted our neighborhood's everyday life and quality of life. First, I'd say I'd kind of shame on the city. I feel like they did a pretty poor job on the planning side. I do a similar thing for a living in land development, so deal with a lot of planning and zoning and city planning. They didn't require a traffic study, which is a number one big no-no in my opinion. And they just flat out don't have enough parking. If you go measure the spaces that they have, they do not meet the zoning as far as size requirements. They have since finished additional square footage. I'm not 100% sure, but don't believe that they have accounted for that in the overall parking. The handicap spots are too small. Just in general, they do not have enough parking and they are not in compliance with the zoning.
Drew, your time is up.
I figured it would be. I'll talk to you again in 2 weeks, depending on what responses I get from staff.
No, we'll have staff follow up with you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Ultimately, I believe you guys are going to have to act. But again, we'll talk in 2 weeks, I believe.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. Next, we have Christina Jones.
8005 Finland Drive. Good evening. I'm back with another RCAC update. Louis Bonapane has agreed to help educate Raleigh residents on city government, and our next meeting will focus on the city budget, so please join us. One of the 3 questions I reached out to you guys with last month was, how do you quantify citizen engagement? And while I wish I had heard back from more than just one counselor in regards to this question, I was able to have many discussions with other residents, which helped me begin to understand the complexities of the issue. In many city presentations, the city engagement slide is usually referred to as robust, and I pushed to understand what was meant by that. For example, if a project affects 15,000 people, I would encourage city staff to present their goals for that project. Start by setting a goal of reaching, let's say, 2%. Then the question becomes, how did the city reach out to the 2% goal? Were there in-person meetings and or virtual? Did staff send out mailers and alert those who may not have internet access? And only when we can answer those types of questions can we begin to build a foundation for citizen engagement to grow. Numbers don't lie. And while the city staff is doing amazing work on many different levels, it seems that the citizen engagement portion of projects isn't as robust as we know it can be. The fear is that with the elimination of CACs, the responsibility of passing out important information about the city went directly to residents, many of whom don't even know where to begin to look for answers. It's been a year without guidance or even a plan from the city to include more people. As always, please plan to join us this month on March 17th at 7 p.m. for RCAC's monthly meeting. Last month's candidate forum went amazing, and we had our highest turnout to date. You can find us on Facebook under Raleigh Citizens Advisory Council. Like our page and follow us for important updates. Thank you and have a great night.
Thank you. Next, we have Polina Voronsky.
Yes, hello. I live on 4516 Winchelsea Place. About 2 weeks ago, Transportation Department put no parking signs along from half of my street all the way to the right to the place, which is a cul-de-sac, but there's in the middle, it's like a green area. And the reason, it's kind of useless. And the reason they put the no parking signs for all the residents is because the street around that place is 18 to 19 feet. It's quite, just somebody one complained, and it's a garbage truck that he have to maneuver to get around. And he's just, I've seen 2 different garbage trucks, like the recycling has no problem of passing along the circle and getting out, but the other guy has a hard time. He just doesn't want to maneuver it. So he complained. The Transportation Department came and just plugged no parking signs for all the residents around the cul-de-sac and half of my road. And I have like 5 cars. I have 2 teenage kids, and I have nowhere to park. So, and the subdivision is like 45 years old. You're gonna have your time. My neighbors started complaining. I had to park right now next to their house, and they started complaining. They don't want to see my car. Plus, for the safety reason, if something's gonna break into the car, I have no visibility. I have no camera. What's happening when the car is not on my in front of my house standing? So what we're asking to bring the road up to code around the place, so somebody can park, maybe even just on one side of the street, and the utility cars can drive it through as well. Yeah, just bring it up to code.
And give us the parking.
Thank you. Next, we have Sergey Kessel speaking on the same topic.
Yes.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we
Yes.
can.
I live in same address, 4516 Winchelsea Place, and my concern is I'm a general contractor for 35 years, and what I see a road where is a house located is at 26 feet. It's just nothing wrong with it. You know, cul-de-sac is 18 feet around. It means 8 feet is missing. You know, like, and also when somebody make a planning, you know, like to bring up to code because it's a grandfather in, it's supposed to be to do not gross negligent, it's supposed to fix it problem, not create a problem. Because we have 5 cars, you know, in our household, and actually because garbage truck only driving for 2 minutes, and we're supposed to 24/7 will have a problem. At least, you know, they can do like a sign, no parking on the garbage day or something, you know, but now we have a huge problem. We don't have a parking, and we have a huge family. You know, I have like a big van. I have an estimate car. You know, like, and it's very inconvenient. This was gold. You know, like a fine house with a parking. You know, and for 45 years, the subdivision never have a problem. You know, guys who planning, they did like a gross negligent. You know, we set up meeting. We try to set up meeting. What they did, they send workers and put like a no parking sign, and also, you know, with the police present. You know, this is not like a guys how to solve the problems. You know, I know the ins and out in construction field, you know, but we need the parking because a garbage truck only drive for 2 minutes. I want to bring agenda to your meeting and discuss with you because you guys breaking code and need bring up to code. You know, like a cul-de-sac. And also, you know, 4 neighbors have a very steep driveway. If it's snow coming, nobody back up and people will stuck there.
Very steep.
Very steep. We're talking about like almost 45 degrees.
Okay, Sergey, your time is up. I'm going to ask staff to follow up on this issue, City Manager. Thank you. Next, we have Donna Bailey.
Okay, 710 Rosemont, good evening. Trading power for personal gain is the relationship that Mayor Baldwin and the majority of this council have with developer John Kane. Kane, his wife, and Bonner Gaylord donated over $17,000 to the mayor's campaign. In addition, he gave over $10,000 to Jonathan Melton, $8,000 to David Knight, and over $16,000 to Patrick Buffkin. Councilor Branch, you only got $5,000. Many residents in the city were amazed to watch when the Raleigh Planning Commission voted unanimously against the Downtown South project, even going as far as calling it a vicious disregard for equity and fairness. And yet, this council, pushed by Mayor Baldwin, held a special meeting to vote for the Downtown South project in an expedited council session. The mayor and council have yet to acknowledge the hypocrisy of claiming to be right-sizing the white privileged CAC voice, yet silence the voices of 6 of the Black CACs. Negotiating meaningful community benefits should be City Council's responsibility in rezoning cases. Instead, in the biggest rezoning ever, community voices have been suppressed while taxpayers are being saddled with this corrupt TIG giveaway to one of the wealthiest developers in Raleigh. Unfortunately, you took away the best tool the city had for meaningful negotiation with actual residents when you tried to silence the CACs. The TIG is being sold as the only way to get affordable housing in the downtown Raleigh. This is just not true. We do not need John Kane to give us his idea of affordable housing at 80% AMI for 5 years. This does nothing to help our affordable housing crisis. We elected council to be transparent and accountable for delivering critical community needs. You did not get elected to be Kane's representative.
Your time is up. Ms. Bailey, thank you. Next, we have Aaron Quist.
Aaron is not on the call.
Okay. Richard Johnson.
3225 Oak Grove Circle. Sadly, after more than a year, I have to talk about this council, the Council of Kane, and the slimy way they plotted without input or notice and pulled support from our city CACs. After all this time, there is nothing. No method or plan for the Council of Kane to receive citizen input or to share information with citizens. Even these public comments have been reduced to 2 minutes. The Council of Kane has shown total disrespect to the people of Raleigh when it comes to citizen input. The so-called consultant you paid $72,000 has delivered nothing of value, but his repeated stalling has allowed you to continue without the bother of citizen input while pretending something is happening. Bet if Barnhill Contracting, the mayor's employer, or Kane Realty, who most of you act like you work for, supported CACs in some form, we'd have them by the next meeting. Shame on you, Mary Ann Baldwin. Shame on you, Jonathan Melton. Shame on you, Nicole Stewart. Shame on you, Patrick Buffkin. Shame on you, Corey Branch. And shame on you, David Knight. You're all complicit in this denial of basic democracy to the people of Raleigh. No wonder so many big money builders and developers and their gray money PACs supported you. They're certainly getting their money's worth from you while the people of Raleigh are shortchanged by your entitled arrogance. And now the Council of Kane is pretending they're going to have citizen engagement on a tax incentive grant for Kane's Downtown South boondoggle. That should be a joke as we see the usual builders, developers, and other puppets they appoint in this charade. Shame on you. How do you look yourselves in the mirror?
Next, we have Mr. Johnson's wife, Steph Mendel.
Steph Mendel, 3225 Oak Grove Circle. It's not anybody's business, and it doesn't really matter whose wife I am. If any of you except David Cox would bother to listen to your constituents, you would know they're opposed to a TIG. Here are comments from 5 of the hundreds of attendees at Livable Raleigh's recent community conversation on TIGs. 1, please explain to me, someone 84 years old and living on a fixed income and who's paid more in property taxes than we paid for our home, just exactly why a multimillionaire should get a tax break the next 30 years to make himself that much richer. 2, why should Raleigh taxpayers depend on an unelected developer to determine how our tax dollars are spent on public benefits? 3, please explain why we would have tax breaks given to a large corporation without any commitment or contract to build affordable housing at 30 to 50% AMI. 4, why is it the responsibility of the taxpayers to subsidize Kane's building profit margins? As usual, we know the drill. The property taxes will go up, citizens will get fewer services, more people will lose their jobs. 5, in the city of Raleigh, old sewer and water lines are failing. Streets are broken and falling apart. Is this a good time to give away large dollars in tax revenue to a TIG? One of you recently sent out an email saying, looking ahead, I see this year's budget as an opportunity to do the most good for the most people with our limited resources. We have challenges in this year's budget. I'll be working on the issues that have a positive impact, such as investing in parks, providing support for folks who are struggling with crisis, keeping our community safe, and getting stormwater and traffic projects completed faster. Indeed, those are the things we need to focus on, rather than granting hundreds of millions of dollars in tax revenue to a wealthy builder who contributed heavily to most of your campaigns.
Thank you. Next, we have Terry Snyder.
Good evening. I live at 1316 Westfield Avenue in Raleigh. I strongly believe that giving a TIG to Kane Realty for the Downtown South project is a bad idea. Why does one of the wealthiest and most successful companies in the area need to be subsidized at taxpayers' expense? Kane's proposals for addressing affordable housing and community services to the residents living in the Downtown South area are vague and non-specific. If he is sincere, why did he refuse to draw up a community benefits agreement with them? Besides, Kane's development history does not convey any kind of understanding of or demonstrate any commitment to addressing the growth issues that impact working class and low-income people and communities in Raleigh. If he did, some of his previous development projects would reflect this. So why would an inexperienced, clueless organization be given a significant tax break to address these issues when there are resources within the city government and community organizations that already have knowledge and expertise? It would be much more cost-effective and expeditious to eliminate Kane as a middleman. I have been very disappointed in this council's record of ignoring many of the basic tenets of the Raleigh Comprehensive Plan and siding with the developers, large and small, in addressing growth in Raleigh, particularly when the Planning Commission presented evidence that the rezoning of Downtown South is out of compliance in 2 areas and recommended developing a planned development before rezoning. Other examples of ignoring the comprehensive plan include the rezoning of Shelley Lake, Azalea Falls, failure to oppose the RDU quarry, and the rampant tear down and infill development that significantly contributes to race and class gentrification, not to mention the negative impact on the environment. It seems clear to me that developers have bought out the majority of city council while too many Raleigh residents trust the elected.
Terry has exceeded your time. Thank you. Next, we have Angela Stahl. Beth, has Angela signed up this evening?
She's not on the call tonight.
Okay. Next, we have Barry Erickson.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Barry Erickson at 516 Gardner Street in Raleigh. I've lived or worked here in Raleigh for the last 27 years and have enjoyed it after living in Durham for 17 years. The Triangle has been my home for a long time. This is my first time speaking in front of council, and I appreciate the opportunity. Especially you're doing it more than is legally required. That is especially appreciated. I ask you tonight to reject the requested Downtown South Tax Increment Grant, or TIG, as proposed. It is outrageous to ask the citizens of Raleigh to give away $500 million so that an already wealthy development company can avoid paying local property taxes. Meanwhile, the development company will use the erstwhile tax money for its own purposes and priorities instead of the public's. With so many unmet needs in our community, including even air conditioning in all of our neighborhood community centers, giving up control of $500 million is a really big deal. For a city's economic engines to keep working, we need everyone to pay their fair share of taxes to fund at least the services and infrastructure they use. What Kane Realty is asking here is for a $500 million exception to that rule. What is proposed is simply unsustainable. Awarding the proposed TIG would divert $500,000 from the City Council's ongoing priority projects. Why would you even consider a tax break equal to half the city's annual budget? Please do the right thing here. If a stadium is what the market wants, then Kane does not need a TIG to build it. Council has already approved Kane's maximum upzoning request for some 150 acres in a federal opportunity zone with already generous tax breaks. Kane doesn't need more. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to say that last week and this week, we had meetings, or 2 weeks ago, and today we had meetings on the tax increment grant. A lot of what was spoken to or said tonight is not at all accurate. And I would encourage you to actually look for the facts in this matter. It also tells me, city manager, that we need to do a better job of communicating what we're actually talking about. So, what we're talking about is a reinvestment in a community that has never been invested in, and providing such enhancements and opportunities as workforce development, use of minority-owned businesses, and affordable housing. And I think that there's a lot of education that needs to happen. So as we start developing this citywide policy, let's keep that in mind. Thank you. Beth, is she on the call this evening?
Mayor, you happen to have been muted, I think, when you recall her name.
Can you hear me?
Karen
I didn't hear my name
Loudermilk?
called, I'm sorry. Good evening, this is Karen Loudermilk of 4420 Emmett Drive. To begin, I want to share my appreciation to all of you members of council for the ways that you serve Raleigh. I would also like to offer a few opportunities for improvement that I ask for you to consider, please. First is the exchange of information between yourselves and your constituents. I believe that each of you sought your position so that you could best represent those who elected you in a way that helps Raleigh be the best city possible. So I ask you, how can members of council truly represent your constituents without welcoming input, feedback, and regular engagement with Raleigh citizens? I realize you are all incredibly busy, and it is challenging to speak to each individual who contacts you and requests your time, which is why it seems council members would regularly seek opportunities to engage with groups of community members. My experience in recent months has left the impression that some members of council seek minimal community involvement, with messages and requests going unacknowledged for weeks or months. I would like to thank Councilors Branch, Lufkin, Cox, Fort, Melton, and Stewart for recently taking some time to meet with myself and a small group of residents about a pending matter on council's plate that significantly impacts my daily life. My second suggestion is to encourage council to value Planning Commission's recommendations, as well as small area plans that were developed in partnership with key stakeholders from the community as well as the city. I know from experience how frustrating it can be when work that a lot of time, effort, and expertise has been put into is unnecessarily reworked and therefore invalidated by others. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very much. Next, I'm actually going to go to the city manager. We have several people signed up to talk about seclusion court, and I think there's some misunderstandings there. So before we begin, I would just like the city manager to maybe fill us in on what exactly is happening at seclusion court.
Thank you, Mayor. The property located at 2813 Seclusion Court is part of the city's rental portfolio. For several years, the property has gone into a state of condition wherein it's been a public nuisance, and we've received some complaints, and staff has done preliminary estimates to fix the property at a dollar amount of roughly $800,000. It is staff's recommendation that we demo the properties, clear the lot, so several topographic issues, some easement issues with an adjacent property owner. It is intended that we will come back with affordable units as part of a development strategy. I think Larry Jarvis from Housing and Neighborhoods is in the audience this evening, and he can speak a little bit more in detail about our goal. But our goal is to replace affordable housing with additional affordable housing. But we will have to get creative because there are a lot of topography issues on the site.
Good evening. As the city manager said, this particular property, which was built in, I think, 1982, has been inundated with water over the years. It basically is sitting at in a hole at the bottom of a very steep hill. So it's had just about as much water on it as possible. As the manager indicated, we do intend to go ahead and clear the dilapidated structure and then most likely do some type of RFP process to seek creative solutions for how affordable housing can best be provided back on that lot. Again, we've got a lot of topographic barriers to work around, a shared driveway, shared parking lot. So there's a lot of limiting factors on the site, but we think that there are opportunities for some long-term affordability here, and that's our objective.
May I ask a question, Mr. Jarvis? How many properties are there, and are they currently, is anybody living in them?
This is a 4-unit building. I think it's been vacant about 3 years.
Okay. And it would cost about $800,000 to renovate them.
Yes, about $200,000 each, which is, again, if you think just the logistics of how you would even get materials and construction equipment near that site, if you can see it on the ground, it really is quite challenging to even think through the logistics of getting materials and equipment to the site.
Okay. Thank you for explaining that and educating us as to what is currently there. I am now going to call on our next speaker, who is Leon Cook.
Leon Cook, 1500 Whittington Drive. I was at that site yesterday, and I agree that it's below street level, and there's a stream flowing like 7 feet behind the property. I don't know how you're going to rebuild with that situation continuing to go on, but I do want to find out how you plan to replace those properties, those 4 units, for affordable housing, if not there. Also, I'd like to know, when you do renovate, what happens to the people who are living in those units? Do you relocate them to other affordable units that the city owns or some other location? And also, my prior comment on the allocation and timing of bond funds for homeowner rehabilitation and down payment subsidies. These 2 areas need immediate attention for fiscal year 21-22 rather than fiscal year 23 as currently planned. By attacking it now, it will help preserve and stabilize the historical nature of the communities involved. I support the recommendation of the Affordable Housing Advisory Group saying that membership should be heavily leaning towards individuals who live in the impacted neighborhoods and representatives of organizations located in or active in the impacted areas. That should go a long way in gaining trust in our city government, as long as the recommendations are not ignored by the city council as it has done in the past. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have Wanda Gilbert Coker. Before we hear from Wanda, Mayor Pro Tem Stewart, you had a question?
Yeah, we heard this 2 weeks ago as well, or maybe a month ago, about 2 of our affordable housing programs that help keep folks in their homes. And I think that's also inaccurate information. And I believe City Manager put something out about it in the her weekly report. And I just wonder if we could get her to speak to it just a minute or two about how we are not delaying this program until 23. It is ongoing and it's working right now.
Oh.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. As part of community development, and I see Larry Jarvis approaching the podium again, so Larry, hang tight. We currently have in our work program to do housing rehab. And so again, as we propose the outlay of what the most recently approved affordable housing bond would include, that is one of the buckets, so to say, one of the program areas. It is scheduled, however, it is not etched in stone as to the timing of that. So housing rehab goes on a continuum at all times. So Larry, if you want to add to that, please feel free to do so.
I would just add that the homeowner rehab program and the down payment assistance program are existing ongoing programs that are funded by our HUD dollars, Community Development Block Grant, and our Home Investment Partnership program. The bond buckets are to expand those programs near transit investments. But again, our existing programs are very popular, ongoing. There are no plans to discontinue those.
Thank you, staff, and thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, for asking that to be addressed.
And Mayor, if I might clarify for Seclusion Court, that property is currently vacant. So nobody is being dislocated in that development plan.
Right. Okay, next we have Wanda Gilbert Coker.
Not on the call.
Beth, is Wanda on this evening?
No, she's not on the call, Mayor.
Okay, next we have Hua Huang.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great, thank you. My name is Hua Huang, 741 Ebenezer Church Road. I'm here speaking along with Raleigh County Health and Justice Coalition regarding the bid for the tear down of 2 housing in Raleigh that you just discussed earlier. I just want to bring to attention that these are what many of the members of our coalition consider to be naturally occurring affordable housing. To our understanding, neither the asbestos report pertaining to the 2 houses stated any present asbestos. And as the coalition member had learned, the main issue was that the houses were long unoccupied due to mold and other matters of disrepair. If that's the case, we understood that was not completely true, at least for the one at 319 North Carver Street, where the former resident's family was still moving her things after she had recently passed away. Also, why did the city buy the Seclusion Court housing in 1992 if it can't be rebuilt because of the waterlogged site? More importantly, demolition of this naturally occurring affordable housing raised larger issues at hand. First of all, for the people who have been dislocated, where have they gone? So, second, Raleigh's affordable housing bond allocated $6 million for rehab. This could be the perfect opportunity to use that fund. If not, Raleigh should consider using their existing funds, such as from the CBDG or the $9 million from the Wait Cares Relief Fund. Number 3, while recognizing the affordable housing crisis, Raleigh continues to tear down naturally occurring affordable housing for more expensive ones. Our coalition is calling for the city to put a moratorium on targeted code enforcement areas where there's naturally occurring affordable housing because the code enforcement leads to demolitions. In fact, our coalition includes experts who can offer some equitable strategies and alternatives to demolition that the city should consider reaching out to. Finally, our coalition will be holding gentrifiers accountable and call for repair of damages that have been done. We're calling out to people who have previously been displaced from their homes in Raleigh to contact us and share with us your story. We'll be keeping track of residents who've been displaced from Raleigh due to gentrification and make sure they get the justice they deserve. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next we have Tim Niles.
Tim Niles, 11509 Midlothian Drive. I'd like to speak about the proposed parks bond that was discussed at this afternoon's council meeting, specifically the fact that the bond contains no funding for amenities in District B. Initially, the proposal contained $12 million for a Falls Whitewater Park, but as noted this afternoon, that park is unlikely to ever be approved based on the endangered Atlantic sturgeon in the river. This was reported in October of 2016 as not new information. Allocating funding for a project you know cannot happen is a rather sly way of eliminating funding for the district while pretending you aren't eliminating the funding. Even if it could be built, it would be a destination attraction more so than a district amenity. Diverting that funding to the Neuse River Blueway also takes funding away from District B to fund a citywide asset noted this afternoon by the presenter to affect a lot of the city. Again, not specific to District B. If you review the bond funding, it has absolutely no geographic equity. District B gets no funding for anything district specific, only for the citywide Neuse River Blueway, which should be considered in the same manner as Dix Park. But even without considering Dix Park, District D still has more than double the funding of District B. Similarly, if you remove the Aquatic Center from District C, because I guess you could make the argument that's a citywide amenity as well, it also still has more than double the funding of District B. The upgrading of Brentwood Park was part of the 2014 Parks Bond, and it still isn't completed. The continued disrespect of the residents of District B is getting tiresome. We can't all live inside the Beltline.
Next, we have Sebastian Fernandez Geraldo.
Sebastian is not on the call tonight.
Okay, Susan Mayama.
Yes, Susan Mariyama, 3413 Lewis Farm Road. 10 days ago, a very successful model and community engagement was hosted by Livable Raleigh. Our community conversation attracted over 350 registrants, and the topic was, what's wrong with tax increment grants? The full recording and presentation of this meeting is now available at Livable Raleigh's website at livableraleigh.com. I'd like to start here with addressing a comment that you made, Mayor Baldwin, just a few moments ago. I wanted to assure the public that Livable Raleigh only publishes truthful information. And I am working on my statement tonight from the facts as we know them. If there's more facts about tax increment grants, you owe it to us to make it available. There are things wrong with the tax increment grant policy as it stands and how it will affect our community and our future budget. And people are very concerned about it. From our meeting, there were 3 startling revelations that I wanted to share with the public tonight. Number one, the public has no vote in whether the tax increment grant is approved or disapproved. We have no vote in deciding whether millions of dollars of our future tax revenue will be committed to a private developer for the next 15 to 30 years instead of those tax dollars going into our city or county budgets. Second, both the Raleigh and Wake County budgets will be denied these millions of dollars in tax revenue if the TIG is approved. Services that contribute to our quality of lives will be impacted because there won't be any money there. Our roads, infrastructure, city services, our children's public education will be affected by this because the money will not be in the budget. Third, the city and county already have successful programs for affordable housing and workforce development. And we are very concerned that the money would be given to a middleman who, unless that middleman can provide more benefit for less expense than the city or county. And
Susan, your time is up. Thank you for being here. City Manager, is the information that was shared with us from staff about proposed TIG, I know that was public record. It was during one of our council meetings. Is that available to the public on our website?
Yes, ma'am, it should be. I'm almost positive that it is. We will verify this evening and make sure if it's not that it is up.
Okay, because I think it would be helpful for people to know that we're not talking about 30 years and we are not talking about millions and millions of dollars. And there's a lot of, as I said, misconceptions out there that are being repeated. And so maybe we need to get the facts in some people's hands. Thank you. Next, we have Serena Johnson.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Serena.
I have a presentation. Do you guys have it available to show on screen? Okay, thanks. I'm Serena Johnson, 5612 Quitman Trail, and I'm meeting with you guys tonight to discuss an African American Affairs Board. And I'm gonna go ahead and read off the affairs mission and vision really quick so we can get an idea of what this is for. The mission for the Affairs Board is a conglomerate of experts whose mission is to provide counsel, advisory, implementation of policies that protect, preserve, advance, and establish the well-being of African American citizens in the city of Raleigh. The vision is to rid African American community of exploitation while fostering more equitable, healthy environment that will expand growth through partnerships among both private and public sectors, as well as interfacing with various governmental entities to build a proud legacy for generations to come. And this will be an 11-member board. It would include crime, civil rights attorney, physician, psychiatrist, human services, foster care, economics, education, historian, and sociologist, and environmentalist, community liaison, and youth advocate. The purpose of this board is laid out for everyone to see and read. It's clear, and it's needed based off of things that's been happening throughout the city since its creation. And I think we have to look at the policies of the city of Raleigh and see how they adversely affects African Americans from its creation to support changes that will have all these things that we place as far as our mission and vision to take place in a timely manner that's going to clearly address the systematic racism that affects every aspect of the city of Raleigh. One issue that comes to mind after studying everything that's on the city's website is the annual median income being based off of Cary's income and not the city of Raleigh. So that's a concern as to why the city of Raleigh is using Cary's income as an annual medium, to report the medium income. And that's something that adversely affects affordable housing. I can't hear you.
Serena, your 2 minutes are up. We will have staff follow up with you. I know you've been having conversations with the city manager, and there will be a follow-up. I think, and I'm not sure about this, but I think part of what those that information is based on is our MSA. And the MSA is what is measured there. So we are part of the Raleigh-Cary MSA. And that's what's required. So maybe, Marshall, you can have some conversations about that as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Octavia Rainey.
Hello, my name is Octavia, and I reside at 1516 East Lane Street. I have lived in College Park for over 63 years. I have been active with the city since 1973. And I'm here to tell you, I'm very disappointed in the city of Raleigh. I have never seen what I'm seeing now. And in College Park, I am very disappointed that Larry Jarvis is planning on demolishing 319 North Carver Street. He's only demolishing 319 North Carver Street because he can. I want to repeat, he can demolish it. He's only demolishing it to sell the lot for $25,000 so it can match the other houses that he's building. And by the way, none of those houses that they build in College Park, and I want to repeat this, none of those houses fit the character of the neighborhood. So you have changed the character 150%. On the other side of College Park, there's been 60 houses demolished and built monstrosities just like Larry Jarvis is doing. There is no need to tear down 319 North Carver Street, and I don't care what Larry says. I remember when the city bought those 3 houses there, they were FEMA houses. 319 was the FEMA houses. So it makes no sense to demolish it. Larry needs to put rehab dollars in it to protect it, because that's what the CDBG funds are for anyway. So I don't understand, and he can't tell me why he's demolishing it, because he has money in the budget for rehab. It's only so he can gain access to the lot and build those monstrosity houses.
Ms. Rainey, your time is up.
Thank you.
We haven't seen you in a while. It's good to hear from you. Could we follow up on that with a memo, city manager, to the council? Okay, thank you. And next we have Doug Johnston.
Good evening. This is Doug Johnston, 120 Forest Road, Raleigh. March is Women's History Month and a good time to acknowledge all the women that are carrying on her tradition, especially working directly with Dix Park and those connected with edge areas where development holds great promise for the park, such as Centennial Campus, where currently rezoning consideration is underway. It'd be nice to recognize them. May I have the next slide, please? For her birthday on April 2nd. Next slide. Her work has a great history connected with one of Raleigh's sister cities in not York, but Hull, which is in Yorkshire. Next slide, please. And her work on asylums for the mentally ill. Next slide, please. I'll send a list of those who are engaged and who are important to the success of Dix Park. That so many women are on the list is not just coincidence. It really seems to be where the talent lies, and we can be very much appreciative of all the women in Raleigh and on the campus of North Carolina State University that are contributing to this effort. I hope you'll find a way to declare or indicate the importance of her birthday and the work that women are doing here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doug. Okay, now we were going to go to the public hearing part of our meeting.
Hey, Mayor,
Yes.
there's one person still on the line, Phyllis Mueller, who I think the clerk thought was not going to speak tonight, but she did call in.
Phyllis Mueller. Okay. Okay.
At 4423 Anti-Flame, the issue involved is a dangerous intersection where a company wants to construct a large apartment development.
Phyllis, excuse me. That public hearing has been closed and cannot be discussed this evening. So I think, I'm sorry, that's my dog. It's the little dog. There's a dog on TV that he's barking at, you know. I think the clerk may have tried to reach you about this. Because the public hearing has been closed, we can't have discussion about the case that you are talking about. Could the city attorney explain that, please?
Okay, wait, please understand that I was told by someone that I could make general comments as long as it didn't address the specific name of the request. But it did. Did I understand that incorrectly?
Do you want me to deal with it? The public hearing's closed and the council hasn't made a decision yet. So if you are talking about the case itself, it's not allowed, even if you don't say the name of the case. I think that
I'm not. I thought listening to the others, they were giving you the parameters, but I was going to make my comments regarding my insight into what might be proactive for this project. Is that permissible?
Well, I could tell what project you were talking about just by virtue of the fact that of what you've said so far. So if you wanted to come on and speak about a different topic, yes, I've been told by the city attorney that that is permissible, but you cannot speak about this particular case.
Okay.
And I'll just say that's because everyone's given the same amount of time, the proponents and the opponents. And if you open up additional time for one side and not for the other, it's not allowed. So that's the reason.
Okay.
Yep. Phyllis, if there's another topic you would like to talk about, you will have 2 minutes, but we cannot address this specific case.
Okay. I'm going to make some general observations if that's okay.
Well, please stick to the guidelines, okay?
I will. I
All
will.
right, thank
I
you.
appreciate your letting me speak on these. And I'm going to be reading my notes because I had to do it quickly. When communities include moderate multifamily housing, such as townhomes properly situated alongside single-family development, the result is harmonious. Environmentally, merging these housing needs is a living, breathing combination similar in scale and architectural designs. In an article I read, a comment resonated. The land planner must be passionate about those who will live in the neighborhoods they design and realize that their living standards, safety, and investment are strongly influenced by the planner's efforts. After 25 years in commercial design, I appreciate continuity of architectural harmony, providing necessary safety elements plus convenient access to shopping and services to meet the needs of residents create a pleasing community. Quoting from 3 sources, A, none of the above can be achieved by shoehorning in every home allowed by regulation minimums. B, multifamily apartments lower the value of single-family homes in the neighborhood. More infrastructure support, higher density housing creates traffic congestion and parking problems. And then C, in America, nothing can be said to be certain except death, taxes, and apartments, killing neighborhood property values, especially big ones that block sun and bring noise and traffic. In closing, I strongly believe new development should reflect a pleasing relationship of a neighborhood's character, as well as adding value and services to the community. And again, thank you for your time.
Thank you for joining us tonight, Phyllis. Okay, next we have public hearing. We are going to go to the first item, which is annexation, 4238 Holden Road. No one has signed up to speak on this. Do you have staff?
Correct. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Councilors. Christopher Golden with Planning and Development. The annexation you have before you is on 4238 Holden. The petitioner has constructed a single-family home and would like to connect to water and sewer. If annexed, this would be in District B. We have presentations available for this annexation and the ones after, and I'd be more than happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Well, let's start and see if there are any questions. I'm going to open the hearing and close the hearing. Would anyone like to make a motion? Councillor Cox is okay. Mayor Pro Tem Stewart, is that a motion to approve? Do I have a second? Councilmember Melton, thank you. All in favor, please raise your hands. Okay, that's unanimous, clerk. Next, we have annexation 6125 Buffalo Road. Laura Good is here to speak in support of that. Staff, would you, do you have a brief commentary or?
I'm sorry, you had cut out. I did not hear. Yeah, just this is on 10.53 acres. This particular annexation was before council back in October, I believe. The petitioner had asked for extra time for this date in particular. They wish to construct townhomes on their property. If annexed, it would enter into District B, and are looking to connect to water and sewer as well, which is adjacent to the property.
Okay. I'm going to open the hearing. Is Laura Good on the line?
Yes, good afternoon or good evening, Mayor Baldwin and council members. This is Laura Good with Parker Poe. On behalf of the applicant, my business address is 301 Fayetteville Street, Raleigh, North Carolina. I don't have any presentation, but I'm simply here to answer any questions should the council have any.
Thank you. Does anybody on the council have questions for Laura? Okay, I'm going to close the hearing then. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second? Mayor Pro Tem Stewart, all in favor? Anyone opposed? No, clerk, that was unanimous. Next, we have annexation 6927 Buffalo Road. Staff, would you like to give a briefing on that?
Sure. That is, it's parcel on 1.85 acres. It is, if annexed, it will be in District C. It's in the 6900 block of Buffalo Road. The owner wishes to annex, they're constructing a retail gas facility, a gas station with retail sales. It's contiguous and inside the ETJ, and they are also looking to hook up the water and sewer for that property.
Okay, no one has signed up in opposition. We have Ed Scons-Benza and Lee McDowell here to speak in support. I'm going to open the hearing. Is Ed or Lee here? Beth? Beth?
Yes, Mayor, sorry.
Did Ed or Lee sign up to speak?
Ed is here.
Okay.
I do not have Lee.
Could we put Ed on the line, please? Let me ask council, does anybody have any questions or concerns about this annexation?
Madam Mayor, I just want to say this property, it really already exists, and they're just looking to come into the city. I'm fine with moving forward.
You're fine with moving forward? If Ed is on the line, I think if you've heard that Councilmember Branch is ready to make a motion to approve, you okay if I close the hearing? Okay, I'm going to.
Ed's unmuted, but we can't hear him.
All right, I'm closing the hearing. Councilmember Branch, you've made a motion to approve this annexation. Councilor Fort has seconded. All in favor? Okay, clerk, that was unanimous.
Thank you.
Next, we have traffic calming on Brenton Road. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people signed up to speak in favor. We have a very robust presence from Brenton Road folks on one of our meetings, public comment. Would you, staff, like to give just a brief overview?
Absolutely. My name is Will Shoemaker, and I'm over the Neighborhood Traffic Management Program for the City of Raleigh. We have worked with Brentwood Road over the last about 2 years now, coming up with the design, meeting with them, getting public feedback and comment, and working to resolve the issues that they're seeing. We have a short presentation, and that includes the design if you would like to see it. But I'll leave it up to your discretion if you'd like me to give that presentation or not.
Let me ask all of you, anyone like to see the presentation?
Sure.
Okay.
So moving right into it, looking at this is the last step in the traffic calming process for Brentwood Road. It started in April 2019. We were working through the steps, and then we had to regroup and took a pause during COVID-19, which delayed us by a number of months. And if you remember back in January of 21, we came before you. We set the public hearing for tonight. At that public hearing, the participation thresholds were waived. The first ballot, as you can see, very high support. They hit the minimum thresholds for participation and exceeded the approval threshold minimums. The second ballot, for whatever reason that may be, the participation levels fell, where they failed the on-street participation levels as well as the neighborhood participation. But looking at the approval thresholds, the approval ratings for the on-street participants actually went up by about 2%, as well as the approval threshold for the surrounding neighborhood by a couple percent there as well. And then looking at the design that we've proposed, it's under the old, previously NTMP prior to October 6, 2020 when it was updated. This was part of the major projects where we were only eligible for horizontal traffic calming elements. So the existing speed humps that are on Brentwood Road will be removed as part of this project. We have now, with new best practices, we have correctly spaced the chicanes and traffic circles and other intersection treatments along Brentwood Road between Capitol Boulevard and New Hope Church Road. With that, we're doing chicanes, traffic circles, and intersection treatments. That will also have an added benefit with the fire station right around the corner. By removing the vertical elements, they historically have avoided Brentwood Road because of the elements and the speed humps, unless there was emergency directly on Brentwood Road or only accessible. So this will actually improve emergency service access with this change, while also positively impacting the everyday traffic flow of the cars that use it. And that was the extent of the presentation. If you have any questions on the design or any of the different elements, I'll be happy to go into each one of those with more detail.
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
Sorry, I was muted. I'm getting a thumbs up sign, so I think we're good. I am going to now open the hearing. I have 5 people signed up to speak in support. I'm ready to move forward with approval of this. I think I see everybody shaking their head. If those who have signed up to speak would like to speak, you have a total of 8 minutes, or we can close the hearing and approve this, whatever your wish is. So Beth?
Yeah, I'll let him speak, I guess.
Beth?
Yes, Mayor, you want to just go through the list and give them a chance?
So yes, they know that we're going to approve this, so we'll start with Brett Chambers.
Hi there, Brett Chambers, 3412 Carolyn Drive. Thanks so much for having us speak tonight. I just wanted to say, that it was a big deal to me, and I, really wanted to see Brentwood become more walkable. I'm so excited about what's going on with the Midtown improvements for making the town more walkable. I want to see Brentwood take part in that. So anyway, I'm glad you're hearing us out and approving this, because I think this is really important to our neighborhood. And I think maybe the support just fell off at the end because of COVID and people not talking to each other in the community. But again, thanks for hearing me, and thanks for moving forward with this.
Thank you, Brett, for being here. Next, we have Robert Pendergrass.
Hi, Robert Pendergrass, 3015 Brentwood Road. I just wanted to say thank you to David Cox. I really appreciate all of your efforts and all of the work you did to kind of help us and to help push this through. So thank you all. That's all.
Thank you. Lynn Walker.
Hi, Lynn Walter, 3228 Glenridge Drive. My house is on the corner of Glenridge and Brentwood. And I just want to say thank you to City Council for unanimously voting the project through to this phase. And thank you for all nodding your heads yes that you are going to approve it tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Terry Nolan.
Hi there, Terry Nolan, 3225 Julian Drive. I just wanted to say thank you to the staff. I attended the April 2019 meeting. It was a very, very good meeting, and I feel like the final design really reflects the concerns of the neighborhood. So I appreciate the work that the staff put into this, and I appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Robin Gaylor.
Robin Gaylor, 3204 Barker Place. I just also want to say thank you for approving this. I have a 10-year-old kid that lives with me, and he is going to be ecstatic once he can get that traffic calmed down a little bit so he can start visiting his friends on foot. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. No one has signed up in opposition. I'm going to close the hearing. Councillor Cox, motion to approve.
Motion to approve, Mayor.
Who would like to second it? Councilmember Stewart. All in favor? Okay, that was unanimous. I believe we made quite a few people in Brentwood happy tonight. Thank you to the staff for doing such a good job working with them and listening to the concerns that were expressed. Okay, next we have equitable development around transit, CP 320. We have one person who signed up to speak in support, and that's Jennifer Truman. Staff?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Matthew Clem, City Planning. I do have a brief presentation we can go through, but just to set the table here, this planning study is a complementary land use plan around the investments that we're making in transit and the region around bus rapid transit. And the intent of the study is to create a more walkable and equitable land use pattern around our 4 BRT corridors. And the implementation of the study, first step in implementation would be adoption of these policies and actions to put that framework into place. And with the New Bern station area planning, that corridor planning is underway now. And so that the equitable development around transit plan creates a framework for that study. I have slides that we can go through, or I can answer questions based on the backup materials.
Well, we have seen this presentation any number of times. I'm going to ask if anybody has any questions. Okay, I'm going to open the hearing, and Jennifer Truman, as I said, is the only one who has signed up to speak. Jennifer, are you there?
Hi, I'm here. Jen Truman. I live at 1928 Sierra Drive, really close to the Wilmington Street South Saunders BRT. Looking forward to seeing some of these things built out. I'm surprised I'm the only one speaking in support of this tonight, because I think maybe it's just that a lot of people know that y'all are all also in support of it, but I think it's important to say those things, especially when we're adding really valuable language to our comprehensive plan to be able to be excited about and support future projects that come before you guys at council. So I'm just here to say thank you to all of the staff that have put in a lot of work on this, and all of the countless hours they've spent listening to us community members who've asked for this. Thank you to council for moving it along. It's been a long time coming, and we're, a lot of us are really excited to hear things like what's in this text, and my kids are excited too, as always. Hear things like what's in this text actually be included in our vision for what our city can be. I mean, to say that a critical element of equitable development is to ensure that the benefits of the regional investment in transit are broadly shared, so that people who rely on public transportation, like my family, can maintain access to the service they need. Those are really important words. And I think, anyways, I just wanted to come on tonight for a minute to say that those things are really important. And thank you guys. Enthusiastic support from over here.
And thank you for your children's enthusiastic support, Jen. Thanks for
They're the biggest bus riders.
All right, thank you. I am going to close the hearing. I think this is a moment we've been waiting for a long time. Staff and the community put endless hours into this, and I'm going to ask if someone would like to make a motion to approve. And I knew it would be Councilmember Branch. Do I have a second? Councilor Knight, do you have a question, Mayor Pro Tem Stewart?
Yeah, a moment of privilege. I just want to note how long staff and council have been working on this. And I also want, this might sound out of place, but I also want to give credit where credit's due to some of the members of the last council who also helped push this. I remember being at the table when Councilmember Stevenson started talking about making sure that the word equitable was in front of this plan. And so this is the work of many hands that has gone unseen and been in place for a long time. So I think we're all very excited and can share in this moment.
That was very gracious. We have a motion by Councilmember Branch and a second by Councilmember Knight. All in favor? I can be enthusiastically in favor. Yes, this is a great moment. Clerk, that was obviously unanimous. Okay, next we have text change TC 1420, Community Gardens.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Justin Rometta, Planning and Development. This is text change TC 1419 related to community gardens with on-site sales. I do have a brief presentation if you'd like to see it.
Would anyone like to see this presentation? Okay, please go ahead.
Okay, in short, this is a text change that would amend the UDO to allow for on-site sales for community garden uses in residential zoning districts by making them a limited use. Limited use means that they are allowed with but subject to certain limitations. In this case, those limitations would include things like what type of items are allowable for sale, the total area that can be devoted to sales of on-site for on-site sales, parking requirements for sales areas of certain sizes, setback requirements, limitations on signage, hours of operation, standards for waste collection, and the requirement for a zoning permit when this type of use is proposed. Finally, this ordinance would, since it would allow the on-site sales of produce in residential districts, without a special use permit, it also removes the current requirement for a special use permit in the mixed use districts for on-site sales of produce. Planning Commission did review this text change and voted unanimously on their January 26th meeting. Happy to answer any questions.
Does anyone have any questions?
One quick one, Mayor. In your report under use standards, B 4 and 5, I think there was a little bit of a confusion with one of my constituents who's probably on the line, Jen Truman, about the usage of signs. So they can put out temporary signs and just like put them out during the day and pull them back in. Is that correct?
Yeah, yes. The ordinance allows for, I believe it's one A-frame sign limited to 5 feet in height that can be put out during the day. It just has to be removed at night when the sales are closed.
Okay, and can it, like if they've got a sidewalk out front, can it be on the sidewalk and pull back in, or how does that work?
It could be out front of the property, yes.
All right, that's all I needed now. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, we have 2 people who have signed up to speak in support. Jennifer Truman and her kid is back, and then Tim Purdue. I am going to open the hearing. Jen, are you there?
Hi, I'm still here.
And so are the comments.
Maybe Frozen will be entertaining. I don't know. I'll be brief. I just want to say that we have several community gardens that are amazing assets to our community here in Raleigh. Many of you know that I've worked with community gardens and urban ag for 5 or 6 years and strengthening the relationships they have with each other and with the people that they help feed. And I think that this allowance for on-site sales for the community gardens that are closest to where people live is a really important step. We've all noticed in light of COVID how resilient or not resilient our food system is. We have a lot of players here locally that are working hard on that. So I'm happy to see this and in support of this text change. I think it'll help us support our local farmers. Thanks, Joel.
Thank you, Jen. Next, we have Tammy Purdue.
Hi, Mayor and Council. I'm Tammy Purdue, and I live at the Well-Fed Community Garden on 1321 Athens Drive. I'm an urban farmer operating inside the city limits without the benefit of too many supportive zoning ordinances we found as we started this. In August of 2020, we asked for the council to consider 2 items, that one of them being that the public health and economic crisis due to COVID, we should be waiving any kind of blocking of produce stands in community gardens, and also that we start the process of a comprehensive amendment to the urban ag zoning ordinance. I'm so thrilled today, after working since August with the Planning Commission and the Text Change Committee, who crafted this change. And we are so thankful to you guys for allowing us to start this farm stand soon. So thank you.
Thank you very much. We have no one signed up to speak in opposition. I'm going to close the hearing. Who would like to make a motion to approve? I knew Councilmember Fort would have her hand up there. This originated in your district and seconded by Councilor Melton. All in favor?
Madam Mayor, she has to read the consistency statement.
Councilor Branch, what?
She needs to read the consistency statement.
Oh, can you read the consistency statement?
I got it ready to go. I move to adopt the proposed consistency statement dated March the 2nd, 2021, containing the agenda materials, and to approve the zoning text amendment with the adoption and effective dates described in the agenda item under recommended action.
Okay, Councilmember Melton has seconded that. All in favor? Unanimous, clerk. I think there's been a lot of enthusiasm about that as well, and I want to thank the staff for their hard work in making this happen. Councilor Melton?
Thanks. If I may, I just wanted to make one comment. This is really important, I think, in our goals to be putting goods and services closer to where people are located, to build that 15-minute city and to make sure that folks have what they need. And so this is a great, I think, leap first step. We've got a lot more work to do. We're going to continue that discussion and that work in the EDI committee this month on the 23rd. So I just want to plug that. I hope that we continue to do more of this, allowing some of these necessary commercial sales in residential zoning. It's the only way we're going to break down these silos of making everyone feel so car dependent and food deserts.
Thank you. All right, next we have our last text change of the evening, text change 1820, quasi-judicial hearings. No one has signed up to speak on this.
Senator Met, I'm happy to provide a brief presentation or just answer any questions if you have any at your discretion.
Okay. Do we have any questions of the planning staff? Okay. With that being the case, I'm going to open the hearing and close the hearing. Can I have a motion to approve? Councilmember Knight, do I have a second? Is there a consistency statement to be read on the text change? Councilmember Knight, could you?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I'd just like to say before that I'm glad that this process has moved forward, and I believe this will be a good change for the process and the structure of the council and the other commissions and boards that we work with. Now I move to adopt the proposed consistency statement dated March 2nd, 2021, contained in the agenda materials, and to recommend approval of the zoning text amendment with the adoption and effective dates described in the agenda item under recommended action.
Do we have a second? Councilmember Branch. Okay, all in favor, please raise your hands. Anyone opposed? That would be Councilmember Knight and Councilmember Fort. So 6-2, what?
You just said.
I mean, Cox, I'm sorry. Cox and, Councilmember Cox and Fort had voted in opposition, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Clerk, do you have that? Okay, thank you. Well, we have completed our meeting this evening. I want to thank everybody for being here. Have a good rest of the week. We still have lots of work to do, so take some time and we'll be back at it next week. So thank you very much, everyone, and have a good evening.